No, even before the layout, because I have so many worlds developing in my mind all the time. As a writer, you wish you could just write. Hello everybody, this is Yael, and today I will talk about 5 mistakes that I've made becoming an indie author, so that you will not make the same mistakes. Number 1. Broad target audience. For some reason, I didn't even think about the fact that if you target a narrow audience, that is beneficial to the marketing side of it. So the book would reach more people because you are targeting specifically the people that might be interested in it. So I thought perhaps an immigrant parent, an immigrant child would enjoy this kind of story and this book written in this way. But the same goes for, a 6-year-old native speaker of English. I didn't exclusively aim at a specific age, such as, 8 years old or 8 to 10 maximum. I chose a broader audience because I wanted to make something that could be useful for many people, many different people with different needs. And that, I think, was a mistake. Perhaps I should have just focused on one specific age range and change the layout based on that, multiply the illustrations, or vice versa. I don't know if it's intuitive or not. To me, it wasn't that obvious, probably, or I simply wanted to get it done. And that was my mistake. So what I would recommend is to find your target audience and to really find a niche and not only write it for that specific audience, but also market it accordingly, promote it accordingly. Number 2. My second mistake was the type of book. I thought I would never be able to write a full-length novel because I don't trust myself, I don't believe in myself, and this is just a recurring pattern in my life. I just never think I will make it. So I thought, if this is a smaller project, maybe I can do it. And that's why I thought perhaps writing a children's book would be, let's say, easier for me or more doable, because the number of pages doesn't need to be that high, because illustrations are welcome, and I wanted to add the illustrations because the entire idea of the book was very image based, because I had these images in my mind and then the story developed from the images. As I was writing the story, I thought, as a child, I would have loved to listen to this story myself. So that's why I had these 2 reasons for choosing a children's book. But perhaps I should have chosen a short story instead. My problem is that I wasn't comfortable with the idea of writing a short story because I'm not entirely sure about the publishing side of it, and even on booktube you hear all those reviews about certain genres and certain age specific stuff, such as young adults, but you hardly ever hear about short stories only. Maybe it's a feeling, or I am on the wrong side of booktube, I don't know. But I follow many booktubers, and according to what I see, short stories are relegated to a really, really tiny niche hidden somewhere. Maybe in the future I will do that, but probably I should have done it already for this project. Based on the very few sales, this is one of the things that I think I got wrong. The type of book, so choosing children's books over a short story or a novel, which again, I don't think I'm able to do it. I would love to, because I have so many worlds developing in my mind all the time, and I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the tools to write them all down. And so I wish I could just stick to one and go for it and write a full-length novel one day. But again, I don't think I'm able. Number 3, My third mistake is that I deeply underestimated how difficult it will be to simplify the language. Probably counterintuitive, or maybe not. But I thought that writing with basic language would be easier for me as a non-English native speaker. But it was not. It was not, because I first wrote down whatever I felt, right? And then I realized that I spent the past few years surrounded by scholars and reading a bunch of academic papers, dealing with academic writing, which is a whole nightmare in itself, and I think it shouldn't exist at all, but that's a whole other story. The point is that I'm used to read very difficult stuff for no reason, so more difficult than needed. And probably my language and my written language has been affected by it. So this was another mistake, because it took me way longer than expected to simplify the language. I should have done things probably in a different order, because you can see that this point relates to the previous two. The entire process would have made more sense if I had started from the beginning, having a target in mind. So the age range, the type of book, and then I would have had to write accordingly. But I did quite the opposite. So I followed the opposite order, and I think that was a mistake. Number 4. My fourth mistake was going in blind, not knowing anything at all about publishing. I chose self-publishing for a couple of reasons, but probably the number one reason is that I'm broke. I literally have no money, so I couldn't invest on this project, and I would never be able to afford an editor or to contact a publisher and get it published. Traditionally, I could never afford that, at least not now. So I did everything by myself. I mean everything. So writing, illustrating, translating, editing, and publishing. Is that it? Yes, I had beta readers, so I had some feedback, but I didn't have a proper editor. I didn't have any other translator jumping in. The only help that I got was with in the illustrations, because I am not able to draw by hand specifically, and I can deal with digital art a little bit, but I still used AI as a base, and then I developed the illustrations starting from there, because I cannot start from scratch with digital art. I mean, I could try, but so far I've failed, or I certainly couldn't get the results that I wanted, only using my own skills. So that's the only help that I got, apart from the beta readers, as I said. But there is a whole world out there related to publishing and self-publishing specifically. I mean, I didn't even realize that I was becoming an indie author. I didn't really know what indie meant, like in concrete terms. And in my case, it meant that I would become the publisher. So for instance, something that I didn't know was how to get an ISBN. I had to find out first how, where, why, who can get an ISBN. And then I realized that it depends on where you are living. So if you are a resident in a certain country, you probably, or at least in my case, you have to stick to your country's regulations. In my case, I looked at the Italian system and the Finnish system. I looked at the Italian one, and they asked for 60 euros just to get, I think, one ISBN. The ice cream truck. Whereas for Finland, this is how it works. Basically, you have to declare that you are the publisher. Then they ask you questions such as, in my case, you're an individual. Whereas if you are a bigger company, like a publishing company, because probably your needs are different. So they accommodate a little bit. So in my case, they would give me for free 10 ISBN per year, because I declared that I wouldn't publish more than I don't know how many books this year. And it just takes a couple of days, the process. So again, I didn't know about that. I didn't know how long it would take. First, they have to evaluate my submission as a publisher. Then they have to evaluate my request for ISBN based on the specific book that I wanted. I had to learn all these things, and then I had to figure out the layout. And no, even before the layout, I had to figure out where to publish it, how much it would cost, on which platform. And I had to figure out all of these steps. Plus, after publication, what happens? I had no idea exactly how to promote a book. And probably you can tell if you follow me on social media, you can tell that I've been struggling a little bit because I don't know how to market myself. I don't know how to sell something that I made. I don't know if I'm just not good at it, or simply I'm feeling, ashamed or embarrassed. I don't want to share too much. I don't want to put myself out there. And so I get stuck in this limbo, and I end up not promoting my book. And that's a mistake, of course. So my mistake was not familiarize myself with the publishing system beforehand. Probably. Even though if I had known what it takes, I probably would have given up early on in the project, because there are so many small steps that perhaps you don't consider when you start writing. And as a writer, becoming all of these other people, like the editor and the publisher and all of that, it's a bit of a nightmare, because as a writer, you wish you could just write. Number 5, my 5th mistake was to decide to publish an ebook first. Again, this goes with my fear of not being able to complete my mission. That's why I thought writing an ebook and publishing an ebook would be easier, because I would have to deal with ideally one format only. I honestly thought it would be easier for me, but also for the readers, because I thought not everybody, but a huge chunk of readers nowadays use a Kindle, a Kobo, some e-reader, or they listen to the books. They use different devices on top of or other than having a physical book, a paperback or a hardcover. But I was wrong. It turns out, probably you know about this, I wasn't aware of it, that something like 70% of readers still prefer a paperback or a hardcover if they can choose between that and the ebook. But still, I was surprised, and so I probably should have done that right away. So either publishing on the same day, both the ebook and the paperback format, or releasing the paperback shortly after. So I don't know, a couple of weeks after the ebook. But no, I thought it's cheaper for people to get an ebook. It's easier because you just need to download it. You don't have to wait for shipping. You don't have to pay for shipping. I literally thought it would be more convenient. I was wrong. Or maybe it is more convenient. Simply people prefer having a book in their hands. But these were my 5 mistakes. I hope you can learn from my mistakes. Please let me know in the comments down below if you are an indie author yourself, or if you got published traditionally. What's your experience? Did you make any of these mistakes? And if you published something, please write it down and let me know so that I can share it on my social media. I'm happy to learn about other indie authors and other indie books. And I want people to find them more easily. And if I can in any way share it, I will. If you want to follow my journey, because it's not over and I'm already writing something else, of course. If you want to be updated, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.